It's official! Marin Kitigawa is the perfect nerd girl, and I am here to break down why. Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. Alright, so I know I've laid a pretty bold claim right here, but let me give some context to this. You see, it begins long before even the manga of My Dress-Up Darling even began. It was when I was an undergrad back in college. I was walking across campus and I found myself walking behind a sorority girl on her way back to Greek Row. She was having some very animated conversation on her phone and I just couldn't help but hear her say, "No! Pikachu could totally take on Eevee!" And my jaw just almost dropped right there on the spot as she started listing off Pokemon stats, and she was absolutely unashamed as other people were giving her weird looks. She was carrying on without a care in the world, arguing about some fantasy Pokemon battle and totally standing for Pikachu. And to this day, I still kick myself for not asking her for her number right there on the spot. But ever since then, it's opened my eyes to look for nerds in places where you would never expect. And what I found is that there are so many people out there who are just nerdy, and it's awesome! However, this also caused me to reassess how nerds are portrayed in media, specifically the nerdy girl. And I've come across a few stereotypical depictions of nerdy women that I've seen come across the most often. The first stereotype that I've seen are nerdy girls who are just simply there to be over-sexualized, but are not actually that particularly involved in anything very nerdy. They just simply are there to have nerdy people explain nerdy stuff to them. It's extremely superficial, and this is like meeting basically, this is the idea of that you're meeting someone who's dressed up like Xena Princess Warrior after only watching 2 episodes and knows nothing about the general story. The second way that nerdy girls are often portrayed is that this girl is absolutely brilliant, but she's a broken person and needs some good lovin' to finally become her best self. And usually these gals are depicted as incredibly naive, socially dumb, and very introverted, needing some extrovert to come in and save them from themselves. The third way to normally show off a nerdy girl in fiction is the badass capable nerd who always, for some inexplicable reason, plays second fiddle to the main character. And it doesn't matter if the main character is, in this case, a guy or a girl. The capable nerd girl is always going to be in the second place spot. And the capable nerd girl is usually hindered because she isn't sure of herself, or not as smart as she thinks she is, or she is the recipient of bad consequences for her attitude, etc. Something always is holding her back and requires once again the MC, whether guy or girl, to step in and save the badass nerd girl from herself. And all 3 of these depictions are really annoying, and trust me, if you go looking, you will find all 3 of them. They are very prevalent in almost any story that depicts a nerdy girl. They are very rarely given their chance to shine, but My Dress-Up Darling fixes that. And sure, Kitigawa is very attractive. It might seem like she's a very superficial character. It might seem like she is the very first one. She's just there. She's hot for the sake of for the audience to eye. But that's not really what's going on here. And sure, people can certainly fault her for being naive in certain cases, but then again, aren't we all naive to things that we don't know about? If we pay attention, however, Marin is a very studious, motivated girl. At least when it doesn't come to homework. And again, that's pretty accurate right there. There's a lot of very knowledgeable people who just aren't massive academics. Instead, Kitigawa is someone who is highly knowledgeable about the things that she is a fan of. Now, it's also very important to know right here about Kitigawa is that her attitude is incredibly inviting towards other people. Sure, it does grate on others later on in the manga, but she's never trying to be rude by it. Marin genuinely wants everyone to enjoy what they love. She doesn't play second fiddle to anyone either in the story, not even to Gojo. She takes charge, she takes the lead on many of the adventures, but she's also respectful of Gojo. It's clear that she's a genuine fan of cosplay, and she's really knowledgeable about the fan bases that she's a part of, even if she isn't a very good seamstress. And when it comes to romance, the fact that she falls for Gojo only enhances a character who was already very strong and colorful to begin with. It doesn't complete her. Her romance only elevates her. Now, I could stop right there and this video would be done, but I should also address a few other matters within the show that people have taken to criticize. First off, let's look at the very big criticism of the story's fan service. Many might point to a wide variety of scenes to say that Kitigawa exists just merely to draw the male gaze and to sell all that sexy merch.
And it sells burritos!
Well, the second part about selling merchandise is most definitely true, but there's more to it than that. Like I said in our seasonal anime preview for the winter anime, the very nature of cosplay and fashion puts you into situations where people undress, and it is firmly established that Kitigawa is so brash and so open that it leads to embarrassing setups. And if you've spent any time in the cosplay community, you'll learn that this isn't uncommon at all. But more importantly than all of that, there is a very, very crucial contrast that this openness that Kitigawa has elicits within the rest of the story. Even though we get a lot of steamy scenes, enough to cook a whole pot of rice, Kitigawa is very respectful of Gojo's concerns and boundaries. And no, I'm being serious here. Even though she teases him and crushes on him super hard, she never forces him to do any shoots that he finds too uncomfortable. Even when they're doing the photo shoot in the Love Hotel, Kitigawa's in a perfect position to get what she wants, but she doesn't press Gojo. This is a very healthy amount of respect. The fact that we get so many steamy fan service scenes clearly communicates in this particular instance that despite all of her teasings, Kitigawa deeply respects her friend. Another important element of Kitigawa's character is to highlight how she uses her nerdiness to bring other people together. So often nerds are showcased as outcasts, and they are far more divisive than unifying in most fictional stories. And even if a nerdy person is outgoing in a story, they usually don't understand how to connect with other people, and they put off normies. This is usually how they are portrayed in fiction, which is again why most nerds are eventually helped along by the main character in getting out of their shell. Kitigawa continuously, however, makes connections with others and new friends through her passions and nerdiness. It is fantastic to finally see a nerd in that particular role. Now, there might be a few people who have watched up to this point in the video right here fuming that Kitigawa is not a real nerd. She is a cosplayer or a poser, but she's not a nerd. Sorry, I'm going to have to disagree with you there. Look at the passion that Marin has for all of these fictional stories that she loves. She's not just giving into the aesthetic or the tropes that she likes, she has consumed these stories. She theorizes about stuff in the manga, she analyzes character arcs and storytelling, and she is constantly seeking to learn more about these stories and about other things, such as sewing or operating the camera. Really, especially like when you look at what she goes through to learn more about the camera and how to operate it, it's fantastic. She may not be academically gifted, but Kitigawa has nerdy street smarts, and that's awesome because she's not a dummy. She is a nerd, though not your stereotypical, let me push up my glasses and read a book kind of nerd. So there you have it. Marin Kitigawa is the perfect nerd girl. Yes, they do exist, both in fiction and in real life. I have seen examples all over the place of this. But coming back to Kitigawa, her character is a fantastically healthy portrayal of girl geeks, showing great respect for others, bringing people together, displaying her passions and fan status in creative fun ways, and generally being her own person without having to rely on Gojo or anyone else to be something that she already is. Her relationship with Gojo, working together with him to make amazing costumes and enjoy the world of cosplay, is that of a wonderful, equal partnership, and I love it. I'm just going to close here by saying I think it'd be great to see more gals like Kitigawa portrayed in fiction, because it's a very healthy way of approaching a stereotype that has been portrayed so misleadingly over the years and has caused a lot of people to look especially on girls in fandom as posers, as not being truly 100% faithful to the things that other nerds like. It's stupid. It's annoying. It's pointless to have this discussion. And the fact that we can have a character like Kitigawa exist shows that the reality really does exist. The perfect nerd girl is out there. She surrounds us all over the place. So, let me just wrap up with saying this right here. If you're looking for more writing advice, please go check out our podcast, Camille's Harem, which is with a perfect nerd girl, Camille, found on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, the works. We also have writing exercises over at our Pinterest page, and we would love for you to join our writing community. Links for all of that and more are down in the description, and thank you for joining us on this adventure that we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, keep your fingers crossed for My Dress Up Darling Season 2, and tschüss.